The mic level looks okay. Maybe I can pump it up a little bit more.
So I should make sure I don't go like there.
Yeah. Should be fine.
Cool. I'm ready.
Okay. Hello. My name's Gabriel, and today I have Santiago with me. This is a new series on the channel PPPhD because over the past few weeks I've been meeting people who are really interesting. I talk to them and they tell me about their stories in physics and in life and whatever. And I thought that this would be really interesting to bring to the viewers at home, to let you guys know what it's like to be in physics, what it's like to be working at CERN or in Oxford or all that jazz. So now Santiago has kindly agreed to be my first torturee.
Oh, I might experiment.
Yes, thank you, Santiago,
for
coming, for agreeing to show your face on my vlog.
No problem. I think it's a great idea. I mean, I've gone through something I think is very similar to what you've done. Going to CERN, meeting people from all random places, and it is really interesting. I didn't do any sort of recording or any tallying up of all the interesting people I met, but this is actually a really good idea.
Yeah. So I don't know where to start, but I guess we can. The standard question is what got you into physics? What's your story?
What got me into physics? How early do you want to go? How far back does it go? I think I've always been interested in like how things work and like mechanical systems, and I used to, like, for example, get whatever electronic device I could get my hand off, I would pull it apart and put it back together. Sometimes successfully, sometimes not, which got me into trouble, of course. I think what got me into physics is that when I was actually ready to start uni, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. Like, I liked engineering, I liked mechanical engineering, I liked electrical engineering. But then I came across like, oh, you can actually study physics, and that was really cool. So I think it was narrowing down my path, and then so I studied in uni. I studied physics in uni, and on my third year, my uni used to do this exchange program. So I went to the U.S. For a year to University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, and there I met a bunch of professors that taught really cool lectures, and one of them was a particle physicist. Back in Ecuador, there was another particle physicist that I would talk to, and he recommended that I apply to this internship at CERN. I ended up going to CERN, and it was great. So I was convinced to do particle physics. Yeah.
So what was it that drew you to particle physics? Was it the people? Was it the physics? Was it the culture?
I think it was a bit of everything. I think it's for me, I've always been a really curious person. I think if you just followed curiosity, it will, in one way or another, lead you to particle physics. Like why does this work like this? Or I think if you just keep asking why and why, at some point you might reach like, okay, this process happens because there's a photon being exchanged between a particle in this whatever you're analyzing and this other thing, and so I think if you go smaller and smaller, you arrive at elementary particles and particle physics. And the collaboration between so many people was also really interesting. And just having the chance to travel and like you mentioned before, meeting people from all over the world, and everyone is kind of working on this same field and pushing on the same direction. I thought that was really cool as well.
I noticed that. So you talk about meeting lots of different people, and then I've been at the summer school, and then I meet lots of people there and at CERN, and I find that I don't know, being in this field, you become almost inherently curious about other people's cultures and languages. So where are you from?
Okay, I haven't really mentioned this. I am from Ecuador.
Ecuador.
Yeah. I was born in Quito, in Ecuador, is the capital. I don't know how much information you want about it.
I actually know nothing about Ecuador. You're probably my first Ecuadorian friend.
Okay.
You're my favorite Ecuadorian.
Oh man, this is a lot of pressure. This is a lot of pressure on me to get it. But I'm glad I'm your favorite. Okay, so crash course in Ecuador.
Okay.
As you can imagine, it's right on the equator, and it's a very small country, but we have lots of different climates, which is pretty cool. And so Quito is right in the middle, and it's right on the Andes mountain range. So Quito is actually pretty high up. It's like on average 2,800 meters above sea level.
Okay.
So it's pretty high up, and fortunately that makes it not that warm. It never gets that cold. It never gets that warm. That's pretty cool. And then from Quito, if you drive 4 hours to the east, you are in the Amazon jungle, which is pretty cool. You drive 4 hours to the other side, then you're at the Pacific Ocean, at like sandy beach.
Wow.
So it's pretty cool. So yeah, we have all these landscapes of mountains and jungle and beach, and we also have the Galapagos Islands, which is amazing.
That's Ecuadorian.
Yeah, that's in Ecuador.
Okay.
So that's where Darwin conducted a bunch of his research, and many of his proofs for evolution came from his studies there, like the famous, what is it?
Was it the turtles or the birds?
Yeah, both of them. What I'm trying to remember what the name of the bird is. I remember the name in Spanish.
What's the name in Spanish?
Pinzón, but in English is finch, I think.
Finch.
Yeah, Darwin's finches.
Okay.
So yeah, the thing is, Galapagos, the islands, it's an archipelago, but the islands are far enough in the right distance that some birds will only be able to stay in the island but not fly through them. So there are small differences in the kind of soil that they have, so they have different plants, but then the same bird evolved to have different shapes of their beak. So like, it's the exact same bird, but one of them has like a hooked shaped beak, the other one is like short, depending on what they eat and what's on the island. So that's pretty cool. So that was one of the, I don't know if it was an inspiration for the theory of evolution or like evidence for it. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
So is there a very strong sort of science atmosphere in Ecuador where you grew up?
Okay. It's a tricky question because I think people are very interested, but physics research, science research in general is not being done. I think this might be like a third world country. It might happen in all third world countries. That I think most people concentrate on less or like more productive, like economically productive areas. So we have lots of business people study business, lots of people that do accounting, because I guess that's what's needed the most in a developing country. But now it's starting to, the science research is starting to really take off, which is really exciting.
That's cool.
Ecuador just became a part of CERN, which is nice.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay, that's cool.
So yeah, now we have 2 CMS institutes, 2 institutes working with CMS. So that's pretty nice.
Is that how you got into CERN, to work with CMS through Ecuador?
Oh, kind of, yeah. So the way it worked is that a professor of mine in Ecuador, he was a CMS collaborator because he studied in the US and he did a bunch of postdocs and stuff. So through him, I was able to work in CMS, but my unit was not a part of the experiment yet because Ecuador was not a member. We're not really a member. We're like a associate member or something. Yeah. So through him, I learned all about it, and for example, I did an internship at Fermilab, but because my uni was not associated to CERN, I had to do it through his uni, the uni that he was associated, and that was Boston University. So for a brief moment, I was kind of a student at Boston University, but not really.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it was like a roundabout way. But then on the year that I graduated, this same professor, my supervisor, he was the one that led the effort to get Ecuador to participate in CERN and in CMS.
It's really great.
Yeah, it was really great. It was definitely a big effort by him. He's a very, very inspired person. Yeah.
I was sort of in a similar position as you. In Hong Kong, particle physics was very new. So they established the group, I think, in 2014 or something like that. And then in 2015, the summer 2015 was when I first went to CERN. So I was the first undergraduate student that they had working on this. I think one of the first.
Oh, nice.
And I know that my professor, she was from CMS, and then she moved over to Hong Kong, where she worked at one university, and then there were two other Hong Kong universities, and they worked together as a cluster.
I see.
But since the professors at the other two universities were Atlas, she was, I guess,
tricky business.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how it works, but anyway, she switched to Atlas, and then which meant that her physics sense was really good, but when it came to like technical things, like how do you run this specific software in Atlas, she wouldn't be unfortunately that helpful.
Yeah.
But we had I think the story is her husband, who is a theorist in Hong Kong, his college roommate works at the University of Michigan, and actually this Michigan's professor's wife was the roommate of my supervisor. Anyway, so this Michigan professor, he provided a lot of help to us. So he helped us, the Hong Kong group set up, and he lent us his postdoc, who coached me and some other PhD students to get started. Yeah,
that's nice. I think I see there is the same trend that like, people really want to do some cool research, but the setup is not quite right, but then you find like roundabout ways to do it.
Yeah.
You find access somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was quite hard because so I imagine in Ecuador that's like at least a 5-hour time difference from CERN or something like that.
6 to 7 hours from CERN.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here is 5 or 6.
Yeah. And then with Hong Kong as well, it's like an 7 or 8 hour time difference.
To the other side.
Yeah. So if you wanted to catch people in CERN or even in the Americas, you had to meet at really weird hours.
Yes.
And that made it really hard to work sometimes, because it was just, it's 10 o'clock. I already had dinner. Went to hang out with my friends, and then I go home and open my computer and start talking about work. It was really.
Yeah. I know the same. I've had the situation where I just set up an alarm. I 5 in the morning, wake up, connect the computer, and have it on. And then someone says okay, I need to answer to this, and kind of wake up again. Yeah, it does get really tricky.
I think there was this one time, and I won't tell which specific time because otherwise people will realize.
You'll get in trouble.
I'll get in trouble. That I was in a meeting, and then so I was paying attention at the start, and then they'd go on to some technical discussions which I didn't understand, and then towards the end I only remember I was on the agenda. I was supposed to say something, but then I fell asleep. I heard everyone say okay, goodbye, and they hung up, and I'm like, oh. I slept right through my set. Yeah.
But then you can just blame the connection, right? Maybe his connection was not good.
Yeah, that happens. Or maybe I got up and went to the bathroom.
Exactly.
So I got up and went to the bathroom. I didn't fall asleep.
That is the official stance here.
It is.
Yeah.
So you worked on CMS for a little bit.
I did.
And then you came to Oxford and moved, and then started working with Atlas.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So how was applying to Oxford for you, or the whole grad school application?
Oh man, that was a whole project of my life. Because so I graduated in December 2015, and I graduated from undergrad, but I didn't do a master's degree, so I was applying to master's degrees, and some places like Oxford don't offer really a master's degree, but they have a PhD.
How many years was your undergrad?
Okay, so my undergrad, it was meant to be 4.5 years, but I took 5.5 years.
Okay.
Because I did this internship in Fermilab. So it was a 6 or 7 month internship. So I basically missed all the classes that I needed to take. And then I had to wait until the fall semester again for the classes to open.
Yeah.
So I had to wait a whole year for that.
Okay. Right. Sorry.
So I graduated, and I was trying to look, maybe I did a master's. I knew I wanted to do physics. I was almost completely sure I wanted to do particle physics. So I was looking around, and I think I was talking to some friends from some summer schools actually. And they were like, "Oh yeah, you have a lot of experience in particle physics. You could probably just apply to your PhD right away." Like, "Oh, this is an interesting idea." So I started also looking for PhDs, and I at first I wanted to go to America because that's where I had done all my practices and everything. But I also really liked how things were handled when I was at CERN and more of the European style. So I also I decided to apply here first because of the timing. The European application were still open and the Americans were closed.
Right, because you graduated in December.
In December, yeah.
And then Oxford closes in January or
Exactly.
March, right?
Yeah, most European institutes closed between January and March, I think.
Yeah.
So I sent off a few applications, and I got a few offers, which was great.
Yeah.
I got to meet the people that I would be working with, and ended up here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It was pretty cool. Yeah. Then finding funding for my PhD, because Oxford does offer a lot of funding, but most of it is centered for European or British students. Then there's some for specific countries. I don't know how it works for you, but for Ecuador we didn't have anything basically. So I got accepted here, and I really liked the group, but then I was checking what options I would have to pay for it. And fortunately everything worked out well.
Okay. That's cool. Was it very hard to find funding for you?
It was pretty hard. Just because there were not too many options, and it was a little bit stressful, because even though I knew there was a few scholarships that are set up exactly for someone like me, like someone that is interested in doing fundamental research in the top universities, and it will be like a 3 or 4 year program, so that matches exactly. But I didn't have any warranty that they will accept me for sure.
Yeah.
So like, if I can get this, then I'll accept this offer. Otherwise, I'll have to find another way of paying for the whole thing. So that was quite tricky. It was stressful at the beginning.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Definitely. But yeah, it worked out well in the end. I sent like lots of applications, got accepted in a few, got rejected by many, and and here I am.
How many applications did you send out?
Oh man, I can't even remember. The thing is, I applied to a few like big grants that would cover most of my PhD. Of those that, if you're asking for a lot of money, then you have to put a lot more time in it. So I think I did only 3 like that. But then smaller ones that would cover, I don't know, maybe just living costs for like half a year or something like that. Those I sent probably like 5 or 6 or more. I don't even remember. I would just...
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, but I wasn't on this mode already from the application to the unis, so I had a bunch of personal statements and research proposals and stuff that I already had structured, so I could maybe move some stuff around and convey what I wanted to say. So yeah, I think I'm really glad that I took some time off to just do this. It's not like I was doing this while doing more research or anything. I decided, okay, if I want to do this right and actually get funding, a way to fund it, I need to do it full time. So I literally took like a month off and didn't do anything else.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's hardcore.
Yeah.
So it was December, and then you were applying for this, and all you were doing was applying for unis and funding.
So what I did was I applied for unis from maybe January until March or so. Then that's around March is when the offers, I got interviews and offers. So then after that, when I actually got accepted, that's when I started looking for funding, because I knew exactly how much I needed and if it would be applicable for some scholarships or not. So that was a whole deal. So at the beginning, when I was applying to the uni, I was still doing some work back in my institute with CMS. They had just become a member of CERN, so I was helping set up the group in very little ways. But then after I got accepted, then I that's when I took them off and just did the funding applications.
Cool.
Yeah. That was it.
So what was it like to be a pioneer, like a CMS pioneer, particle physics pioneer in Ecuador?
I think I have mixed feelings about it. It's of course really cool to start the whole field, and people get excited when they find out, like, oh, you're working with this really big organization and you're doing the research that's as good as anywhere else, and you're really contributing to science as a whole. So that is really cool. But because there was nothing like us before, you find a lot of roadblocks. So, for example, when I went to the CERN internship, they didn't have a way to fund something like this. So I needed to find flights and pay for some stuff.
Yeah.
They didn't have anything set up for something like this. They had something for conferences, for example, that were 1 week. But it was tricky to actually find something that would apply for me. But yeah, I think little by little it became more and more normal, I guess.
Yeah.
So it was pretty good.
Would you want to bring particle physics back to Ecuador, maybe at a different institute? Start your own group? Yes,
that would be really cool. So that is one of the options that are going through my mind right now. So I don't know if you keep track of people's years, but I should be graduating either next year or in a year or a year and a half. So I already have to start thinking of what I'm doing. So one of my options is to go back to Ecuador and either start a new group or participate there as a member of the existing groups. I know there's interest from them. I haven't talked to them quite yet, in a really serious way. But I would love to do that, because I know there's a lot of great people, and because it's a field that's just emerging right now. Doing the link between what needs to be done and these great people that can do it, I think I would be great to. I would be a good way to get those two ends to meet.
That's really cool.
That's what I hope. There are, of course, many roadblocks. Like, for example, there's to get the unit to get certified to give out PhDs, to award PhDs. It's a whole big mess with the Ministry of Education.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think right now, the unit that has the CMS and the two units that have the CMS group, I am not sure if they have a physics PhD program yet. I think they used to have one, but they changed some rules up in the Ministry of Education, so now they have to get recertified, stuff like that.
Oh, that's a mess.
So that's the kind of roadblocks that you get. So right now, well, at least when I left Ecuador, we had a group of CMS, but we didn't have grad students to work. So it was a professor and some undergrads, and that was it.
That's tough.
Yeah, I think now I know there's a master's degree now that people do, so there's master's students helping out. But I think many of the research in our field is made by PhD students, so it's like the backbone of everything.
Yeah, the PhDs are the ants, the worker bees.
Exactly, the worker bee. That's us. So I haven't really looked closely on the situation, if this has evolved or how much that has advanced. But yeah, that's something I always have in mind. Maybe I'll do, I don't know, a couple more years here. Maybe I'll do a postdoc here or in America or wherever life takes me. But yeah, I would definitely love to go back and get some good people involved in particle physics.
That's cool. So let me ask you, worker bee, how do you? I don't know if you guys can see this, but his his workspace is really, really cool. We will take care to blur out any sensitive information because, well, this is science. We can't release results prematurely. We don't have anything sensitive here, do we?
I don't think anything is sensitive. Okay, let me check. Maybe I should minimize this just in case.
Right. So this is his desk. He's got 3 screens. One of them is vertical, and all these post-it notes. So could you walk us through how you work?
How I manage what I need to do is I have these post-it notes. Mm-hmm. So these ones here are the ones that are active, and that have something that I need to do. So I paste the notes, write whatever I need to do, and I get a checkbox and I tick it once I finish. Mm-hmm. And then my done post-it notes are over there in the corner, and they start to grow the more productive I am. Yeah. And then from here, whatever is worth noting, I put in my trusty logbook right here. Yeah, I don't know if you have one of these, but
I usually keep mine digitally.
I tried doing that, but I can't bring myself to update as often if it's digital. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you have 3 screens here. How do you? So I find that I can only work on maybe 1 or 2 at most, but you have 3.
Yeah, I got used to doing this. So what I usually do is I have here in the main screen, I have whatever I'm programming or whatever code I'm writing.
Yeah.
Then down here I have some reference, I don't know, some Twiki pages or some recommendations. And then on this vertical one, I like to have it like that because if I have some previous program as a reference, I can just have the whole thing there and see it. So yeah, so it's good for having documentation, stuff like that. What else do we have? Trusty coffee mug, right there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What's this? These are comics?
Yeah, it's a comic book coffee mug. It's actually I inherited this from Nufikri. I don't know if you know him.
Oh yeah.
He just left. He actually moved to CERN, to CMS. Mm-hmm. But before he moved out, he wanted me to have his old coffee mug.
Oh, yeah. That's so nice.
Yeah.
You're really into coffee.
I am. Yes, I love coffee, and Ecuador does great coffee, but then the UK, it's hard to find good coffee here. Mm. The easy to find coffee is pretty bad, and the good coffee is very expensive. So yeah, it's a conundrum. So every time I go to Ecuador, I bring like massive amounts of coffee. Mm. Yeah, you can also see my coffee setup over there. So I use this kind of coffee maker, cafetiere, French press. I don't know what people call it. What I do is this is the coffee I get from Ecuador. I get all sorts of different brands that I try. So what I do is I go back and I see which new brands have come up and like where they come from, what kind of coffee it is. So I just do a massive selection and bring it back. This time I brought like, I think 10 or 12 different bags.
Yeah.
So that will last me, I think like 3 or 4 months, which should be a good amount. Mm. Yeah. So then I usually buy beans, grind them with this hand grinder, and yeah, I have a kettle to boil the water, and then make the coffee in this nice machine.
How much coffee do you have every day?
I usually depends on how intense of a day I have. So a normal day is like a 2 cup of coffee day situation. If I need to do a lot of work, I might go into 3 or 4 cups of coffee. Mm-hmm. And then if I am in crisis mode, it would probably be like 5 or 6. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's probably only like twice a year or 3 times a year. Those are not great days.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, thank you, Santiago, for this very enlightening interview. Actually, I got to know you a lot better through this.
That is true. I never really told you so much information of my past, and yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So thank you for tuning in. If you would like more of this content, the usual YouTube thing, like, comment, subscribe, and we can look forward to more PhD interviews in the future. Okay. See ya.